The last tutorial stopped a little abruptly because I didn't know how long I'd been going on for. Stopped it and realised it was 40 minutes long. I don't want them to be too much longer than 40 minutes long, but I'm just going to carry on from where I left off, really. First of all, it's just generally looking a little bit thin, so I'm going to select the whole lot and just thin it out. I think blocks are pretty much square, so just by eye I'm just going to thicken it up a wee touch. I'm going to start off by doing the little shell escape, whatever I don't know what it's called, up here. I think the best way to do it. Yeah, I'm going to just do exactly the same as I did for these two. Sort of indents. I'm just going to insert. Once I've got my vertex inserted, I'm just going to get them into the right positions. So I need to take the Y position from here, transfer it to here, and the Y position from this little guy and put him over here. Right. I then just want to try and get this into the correct position. Brilliant. Don't have a very good reference of it. Whoops. Block. Dum. Okay. Okay, so it looks as though it's going to start. Maybe. Oh, sorry, I've pressed spacebar, so I can't actually select or do anything. It's a really annoying little problem. If you ever find you can't select or do anything. That was my mum on the phone. Where was I? Oh yeah. So I've accidentally pressed spacebar and it's come up here with this selection lock toggle, which basically means I can't select anything other than what I already have selected. So if you ever come up to a problem where you can't do anything, it's really, really annoying. But that's what it is. Just hit spacebar and it will sort out that problem. I don't know to say. It's quite hard to tell from these references that I've got where. But I mean, I think that looks about right to me. Sort of a little further back than halfway. That would do. So I've lost my references. There we go. So there's a slight little step there, which I'm going to just put in quickly. So I'm going to need to insert 2 verts. 1, 2. I'm going to pull those 2 back and take the X position from the first vert and place that onto the second vert. And there we have the step. Just got to position it correctly. Pull this out a touch. And what you will notice is that just pull these down. So holding down the shift key, you just drag those down. Alright. With the symmetry modifier on, this is both exactly the same on either side, but we don't actually want it the same on either side. So what we're going to do in a bit is we're going to collapse the stack, get rid of the symmetry modifier, and when you collapse it, it will automatically weld all the verts down the seam if they're all on 0 on the x-axis. And then once that's done, we can go in and edit the other side and take out the symmetry. That's why I always model all the symmetry parts first and then go in at the end to get rid of the symmetry. But first of all, I'm just going to model the barrel, sights, crosshairs or whatever. So cylinder, we want it on height segment 1, and I'm going to do about 12 side segments. Oh. So drag. Just a matter of getting that into the right position now. Convert to edible poly. Press M. Click and drag my material over it, and select all the verts and scale it using all of the verts rather than the object. Just to, as we talked about before, keep the scale on 100% all round. Although at the end I always check the scale. I was saying how important it is and how many errors it can cause. I should post up a video of my some of the ragdolls I was trying to do for my final project. They're not too happy. They go absolutely crazy, and I suspect it's down to some scaling issues. They sort of freeze in the air and slam about on the floor a million miles per hour. Fun to watch, but a bit of a pain in the bum. I think that's just slightly coming out too much. Just going to pull that back to about there. Scale it up a little touch. That'll do. To say, I think there is another cylinder along the bottom here, which is what the slide will rest along, or something or other like that. But not to worry for us. Not going to see it. No point of it being there. That's my motto. Just to carry on modelling this now. I'm just going to drag this all right down here. And I'm just going to polygon, create polygon, and just fill in this hole. Bam. Right, so just going to do the front and rear sights as well. So just going to create a plane, click and drag, convert to edible edible poly, put on my material, press number 1 to select the verts, just position the verts correctly. Don't know if I have any images which are too good. So just say I'm just going to pull that out, select those edges, not the one at the bottom, only the ones along the top, drag it in, right click here to make sure they're on the seam. Make sure the pivot is on the seam, which it is, and slam a symmetry modifier on there. Make sure it's along the z-axis, and then from there you can just sort of give it a quick scale. Might just bring it in a little touch here. A little better. I'm just going to have a quick peep to see what the back sights are like. Right. going to use this little bit of geometry which I've already got here, and then I'm going to select this edge as this edge, connect all 2 times. Okay. Alright, the rear sight is actually, looks as though it's coming out of the gun and properly attached sort of inside. So I'm going to model it out of the gun rather than as a separate object. So I've just connected those 2 verts which I've just created onto here and onto here, and then I'm just going to go through and position them in the Y coordinates to make sure they're nicely lined up and square. Okay, I'm just going to need to create another edge, sort of put them slightly in the wrong place. Oh, I'm going to select those, connect once, and just put them in the right position. There we go. So what I want to do is just extrude these polygons out. See, what's annoying is that this reference is at a slight angle. So here, even though that line along the top is flat, it's slightly up higher there and it's slightly lower there. See, this is why I was saying before that you're never really going to get your gun perfectly accurate, especially just off a poor quality image like this, but tough. Is why you've got to just use the best images you do have and just try your best. So I'm just rearranging the verts that I do have to best represent the shape of the sight. Just pull that in a smidgen. And then just remove these edges here and those 2 verts. So just start off with a box really, and then from there we're going to go in, create a slight little groove. To me it looks as though this is sort of flat at the front, and a slight more depth there. Because we've extruded, we've got this polygon on the back here, so I just want to select that and delete that. And we also just want to make sure that these are along the seam. And now it's just a matter of selecting these 2, connect 2 segments, and select this polygon here and drag him down. And we want to select the X coordinate of this edge and transfer it to this edge here. And last but not least, you just want to go through, give it a slight optimize, make sure it's not overlapping anywhere. There are a few errors in this at the moment, so you just want to go through and get rid of those. Maxon doesn't seem very good at working with diagonals. It would be good if you could sort of snap to diagonals. Maybe you can snap to snap to grid lines, edges. It's turns 3D snap on. Yeah, maybe it is. Learn something new every day. So yeah, I've just gone into the snap tool there. told it to snap two edges, and then I hit cancel, and then I just clicked on this button to put the 3D snapping on, and you can see you get this little blue tool. I'll do the same to this one actually. Oh. Maybe I'm not. Looks a bit horrible and chunky, that does at the moment. Bring that in. Oh. Just going to bring this whole lot in actually. The original actually looks quite thin compared to mine, which is looking rather chunky. Just want to have a little bit of a clear up, as much as you possibly can. Get rid of some of these edges. Inverts. Last of all, I'm just going to chamfer this edge here, just to give it a slight curve. Chamfer. I reckon that will do, really. Alright, so looking at this, there's some quite hefty big holes going through. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hide them by... It's the sort of holes that you will see from the player sort of angle. Like you can see there, that's going straight through. So to say, I'm just going to drag it all down, really. There we go. Should get rid of the holes. Still going to fit, aren't they? Now we'll just drag them down a little bit more. You carry on dragging them down forever. You need to. Yeah, it should do. To say a lot of this sort of parts you're not actually going to see anyway. Right. Next I'm going to do the trigger as well. So again, start off with a plane as per usual. Click and drag, press M, pull over my material. You'll notice that there's quite a few different separate objects at the moment, but I'm going to attach them all into one element at the end. Well, into one object made of separate elements. And as I've said a few times, Source is very happy for you to have holes in your mesh. And when it comes to decompiling, I'll actually load up the original block for you to take a look at in Max. You'll see that there's hardly any geometry on any of the Half-Life 2 weapons, any of the Source weapons. Totally absent of faces. Very clever. So yeah, just doing the usual holding down shift and dragging out more geometry, and then just rearranging as necessary. I'm just going to use the connect tool as well. I mean, say you don't want to overload this with too many faces. It's not, if the character's finger's over it, you're not going to see it. So there's the, don't bother wasting faces on it, which I've said a few times now. forward a little bit. There we go. And as per usual, we're going to just select all these along here, hold down shift to pull them in, put them along the x-axis, and I generally quite like to move these front ones out a touch, or forward a touch, just give it a slight curve on the front. Make sure the pivot is on 0, so it's along the seam, and then we're just going to put a symmetry modifier on along the z-axis, and from there we can just thin it up or thicken it up accordingly. Generally, pivot wise, for the animations it doesn't matter. For example, this trigger, you might think that you would want the pivot up around here, so when you rotate it will rotate from that position. The animations are all done from bones, and the movement of your geometry will be done will be calculated from the pivots of your bones rather than the pivots of the objects, so you don't need to worry about that, and we'll go into that more when we actually do some animating. Next thing I want to do is this little box, don't know what it is, so plane, whoa, plane, left viewport, just want to drag him out, convert it to edible poly, put on our material, select all our edges, hold down shift and just pull that in a touch, and from there we're just going to rotate him, get him to a right angle, plonk him on there. What I'm going to do is hold down shift, drag this same bit of geometry over to here, and I'm going to use that to create the clip release. To say, you could go in forever on some of these little twiddly details and fill your model with all these crazy implements, but there's no need. I mean, to say I could sit and model loads of cross-hatching or lines across the geometry, but there's no point. This is just another one of those sections where the hand's going to cover it up. And there's not much point of it being too over the top. Gives it a bit of a crazy spot. Change that to local. This view local screen determines how your gizmo moves, rotates your object really. So for example, if I have it on view, that's the view of the actual world itself. So you've got the X, the Y and the X axis. If I put it onto local, it changes to the local pivot of your actual object, the X, Y, Z locations. Parent doesn't really matter, but that would be of the parent bone. World, I think world is very similar to view, but the only ones you're really going to use are view and local. And the grey here, I recently figured out, is the rotation of your viewport. What do you mean? What else have we got in the model? Just that little twiddly section there, and the circle. And then I'll go through and fix that last section. So what we've got, I want to do a cylinder, sorry, a plane along there. And as we've done before, we want to drag it out, like so. Add our material, and just start working the geometry. Sorry, convert to editable poly. Oh. So I'm just holding down Shift key, or the Shift key. Holding down the Shift again, I'm going to pull that out. And then I'm going to select the outermost edges that I've just created, and I'm just going to pull those in, like so. In position. Lastly, I just need to go create polygon, fill in the little gaps. And I also believe this is going to want to come up like so. I don't know if I've got any good references of that. Do these just want to come in? Yeah, that will do, won't it? So we're just going to... if you wanted to get your gun perfect, you're definitely going to have to go through and find a lot more references, etc. I mean, I am trying to go through this as quick as possible, really. Just going to champ those edges. As you can see, it's gone 4 ways. It's created a an extra vert down each one of these edges, which is attached to the vert that I'm chamfering. And it's also created a bit of a mess. So if I pull that out, there's 2 verts perfectly on top of each other, and it'll be on the same on the other side. So I'm just going to select all the verts, slam weld, and select these 2, chamfer them in. And now it's just a matter of going through and cleaning up the mess. And it is quite a mess. Actually, just take the Y position from here, place it to here. Then I'm going to pull these 2 out to get that curve that I'm after. And I'm going to do the same on this side. So Y position onto this vert, and then pull these 2 out. Last but not least, we just need to drag these edges out, target weld 2 at the top, and then take the X position from these verts and just to make sure it's nice and flat and you haven't got any bits sticking out. So this bit is a separate object. You could imagine that if I extruded this area out of the main bit of mesh, there'd be a lot of triangles coming from sort of all around here, around here, around here, around here, all the back there. Just generally adding a lot more triangles to the geometry. And because Source is very happy for you to have these big holes in the mesh, etc., it's fine for you just to place a section like that over the top. I've done it all around here, here. The front sight is another example. Trigger. Box. Just need to create the I don't know what it is, little lock thing there. So that's just going to be a plane. Add our material again and convert to editable poly. And I'm just going to chamfer all of the edges because it's slightly slight roundness to it. Pull her out. I'm also going to do a connect across. I'm just going to pull that as well. That will just help give it a slight curve. Select all the verts around the edge, and then holding down shift just going to bring that in. And then move everything into position. Pivot, and give it a slight rotation. Just think it might be worth. No, that will do. Oh, the other little section that I need to do is that little pincer bit, whatever you want to call it. I don't know where pincer came from, but to say, as normal, just insert a few verts in, pull them up. Like so. Pull that in a touch, and then I'm just going to create a polygon. Polygon, create. What I think I'm going to do pull these, maybe not, yeah, and that one just straight across, put that onto 0, because there's quite a few little sections as well which are sort of slightly overlapping the gun here. Yeah, for example, this little indent. And as this moves backwards and forwards, you're going to see a big hole in the mesh all over the show. I think the last thing I need to do is collapse the mesh and just fix this little section here. So I'm just going to right click, convert to polygon again, and you'll notice that the stack up the top here will get rid of the symmetry and it will just be on editable poly. That's made this whole symmetry a single object rather than having symmetry. It's also welded down the seam, as you can see, so it saved us a little job. But you'll notice that there's always a big line all the way along. around here. It's the same with everything, and that's the main thing that's going to be needed to optimize. But before we do all that, we just got to sort out this. So I'm just going to first of all get rid of this little step that we created earlier. There, and then just need to reposition along the y-axis, like so. Also going to get rid of this because we don't need it. Target world. May well have just deleted a load of geometry on this side. Fantastic. I'll undo all of that. There you go. What I can do is just select all of that, all the verts, and hit backspace. And I want to get rid of that as well. That's done it. There's also a slight error there with that not being down perfectly on the seam, so fix that as well. Right, so I need to move the Y position of this again. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a connect down this edge. Connect, actually make sure it's on 2, connect. As always with the connector, it's made a lovely big mess for us. Nothing we can't clear up. So we just want to target world these two. And now our connect is pretty much has an edge loop which connects along here, as you can see, all the way along there. Take our Y positions and just make sure it's absolutely perfectly square. Boom. Like so, front and back. Y. Right, next thing I want to do is just do one connect between these two and hit our little box, give us our float on top option menu and just change segments to 1. And now I'm just going to delete this whole section here, everything that we don't need. Oh. Now all we need to do is just recreate it. So I'm going to pull that in. I'm going to just take the X position from there, that piece of geometry, and using the create tool, slam that there. And also there. Actually what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to target world here and here and take our X position from this edge here, transfer it to here. And now all we need to do is just create a couple of create a couple of polygons and that whole section is complete. Alright, we just need to create a cover. So, as per usual, plane, into it in the top viewport. Put our plane up. Convert to editable poly. Apply our material. Just going to go in this viewport, or down shift and pull it down. Oh, sorry. Select our edge here. On down shift, we'll pull downwards. And also I'm just going to chamfer this edge. Chamfer a bit more. Maybe to about 2. What? No. Door. Last but not least, we just need to create a little geometry here as well. Hold down shift and pull it out. Pull that edge down. Pull that in a touch as well. Make sure these two are square. Like so. In fact, I need to create one more polygon just along here. Just holding down shift, just drag it out. You'll notice how I haven't created that section there, or anywhere around the front or on the bottom. And again, as I keep emphasising, it's not going to be seen. I mean, to say none of this is going to be seen, I don't even know why I've done it. I think I've just I've gone through to show you how to put it all in, just to take it all out again. Oh, there's one more little section to do, and I think that will be the end of this tutorial, which is the little round section at the back. So, I've just selected a cylinder, click and drag. I'm going to do 14 size. I'm doing 14 rather than a slightly lower number like 10 or so, because this is a bit which is right up in front of the player's face, and because it's right up in their face, they're going to see it a lot. Oh, so I'm going to convert to editable poly. Delete this vert on the or polygon on the back. Drag her out. Stick her on the side. Press M, put on our material, and lastly I'm just going to create a box. I'm going to put auto grid on. Normally, I don't know how it works out where the grid is. Well, if you press G, you've got the grid there, and it will create your geometry according to that grid. If you put auto grid on, it will create a new grid when you try to when you go to create objects. So I can just create directly on top of here. Convert to editable poly. Put on our material. I'm going to go through and just delete this polygon on the back, and just finish off by positioning this guy a little better. I have no idea what it is. It's a thingy, obviously. I'm going to scale the local. I've got no idea what this thing looks like. Ah, it's flat. Okay. So, I'm going to target weld these in here. I think they're probably coming out a little too far. Like so. And then I'm going to use the extrude tool just to pull that out a touch. See, this is where things can get a bit annoying. I mean, it's going to be a pain just to position these, really, because the local is going along that direction. It should be, but it's doing the local from the actual verts themselves. Maybe if I can do it by the edge. Ah, there we go. So I've put it on edge, selected the local, and that's moved my gizmo to the correct position. Last of all. Ah, but it hasn't done it for that one. Fun, fun, fun. Time to be lazy and just go for a bit of a chamfer. As I hit apply again, it will sign the chamfer and allow you to do a second one. Well, I think I might actually just chamfer this top edge as well, just to add the slight curve to it. I won't. Whoa. Don't know what's going on there, but I'm just going to make sure all the verts are welded. It might actually have something to do with that. I'm going to take away that edge as well, just by selecting and hitting backspace. Bang, bang. Chamfer. There we go. I think that's about it really for this tutorial. That's the actual modelling complete, I think. Next tutorial we'll just go through the optimising, getting the poly count down. At the moment, let's have a quick peek. So I was going into the utilities, selecting more and polygon count. The problem is with modelling in Edit Poly is that when you go to look at your poly count by right clicking, going properties, it will say pretty much half the amount you've got, because it counts it's counting the quads rather than the triangles, and we want to model in triangles. We don't want to model in triangles, but the final count is done by triangles. Contents, so faces 801, that is most definitely wrong. But using the polygon counter, I think that counts in triangles, so we'll go by that. Polygon counter, select all. So we've got to 1,856, which I don't think is bad going at all. You've got a fair bit of detail on there. But to say next tutorial, we're going to go through and optimise everything.